Later, when I came back to Iraq in late 2005, after I committed all those war crimes while I was still at the Pentagon, I came back and I saw the Iranian wedge was now firmly under the control of the government of Iran. Now I saw another area in contention, and that was Diyala province as well as Baghdad, and it's right here. From Baghdad to the northeast, I saw that area now, and that is right where Ashraf was located at. We have constantly pointed out to our government, Nouri al-Maliki is not a good person. He's not a moderate. He's a puppet of the Iranian government. And we saw the Iranian planes flying over the country, going to Syria, backing up the Assad government. We saw the atrocities inside Iraq. We saw the continual growing influence. And one of the biggest puppets of the Iranian government was the National Security Advisor, Roubier. And General Jack Gardner told us, do not trust Roubier, he's a thug. Maliki stole the government in 2010. Alawi had run again, and he had gotten the most seats. By constitution, Alawi was to form the government. And Grand Ayatollah Sistani told Hakim of Supreme Council of Islamic Revolution of Iraq and Alawi that, and Maliki, that Alawi is to become allowed to form the government. Maliki decided he's going to stop that, and he got his, and Maliki has an interesting way of bringing people into the government. He has a relative form of government. He puts his relatives in all kinds of positions, and we call it the friends and family plan. So his relatives in the Justice Department endorsed that Maliki was to form the government. So Maliki formed a new government, and then the next elections came, and he was going to make sure that he was going to stay in power, and he's saying he's going to stay in power now. He was bombing Fallujah, with dropping barrel bombs all over the city from his helicopters, hit hospital, killed several children and a doctor, and forcing people to flee prior to the elections. But that wasn't good enough. He needed more to flee, so he had waters of the Fallujah Dam released. And as a result, the area was flooded in the Abu Ghraib region, so they couldn't go to the polls. He had his military vote the day before, claiming they needed to be mobilized to defend the election, but they voted in front and under full view of their seniors. And then, as Struan Stevenson, the president of the European Union relations with Iraq, found out and verified, many of those ballot boxes disappeared, only to be replaced by pro-Maliki ballot boxes. Meanwhile, Maliki continued to operate through his Ministry of Interior. He is the Minister of Interior as well as Minister of Defense. He's determined he's going to stay in job. So he ended up making sure that he would stay in power by having all his forces in position and in place. Matter of fact, one of the illegal detention facilities that we busted was inside the Ministry of Interior headquarters building, and another one was inside the compound. So throughout the country, Nouri al-Maliki has been allowed to commit his atrocities and his genocide. The most blatant genocide, in lack of a better term, it was genocide, was September 1st, 2013 at Camp Ashraf. From the northern perimeter, the camp that we used to have, now used by the Iraqi forces, came the Iraqi Codes Force, the Iraqi Golden Division, the SWAT team. They were fully dressed in the uniforms. They came in, as Governor Dean said, handcuffed, and then shot people in the back of the head. Went into the medical station where people were trying to get aid, gunned them down, systematically moving through the camp. Two of my very good friends, one a very close friend, Hussein, died. Commander Zora was another good friend. I can remember working with them numerous times, both in conference rooms and outside the conference rooms throughout the camp. Over and over, I kept trying to remember every experience I had, especially with Hussein after he was murdered. And I couldn't stop thinking of a new one. Because as soon as I thought, well, those are all the experiences I remember, then there was another one. And to see him laying in the corner with 2 shots in the head, one from a rifle, one from a pistol, and 1 shot in the stomach. Blatant murder. And what's the first thing the United States does? The State Department jumps up and says there is no evidence the Iraqi government was involved. But I'm going to say this one. Anybody who says the United States, anybody who says the government of Nouri al-Maliki was not involved in the Ashraf massacre is either a liar, stupid, or both. I can't be much more blatant than that, can I? No. Okay, okay. Let's go back to ISIS. There is a way that we can go ahead and bring stability into this country. But in my threat statements, the one that came out a month ago, I identified those 6 groups again. But now we have the rise of more groups. We have the militias. We have the Iraqi military and the Iraqi police itself. And I see another growing threat, and that is the Quds Force. My first reports, well over a month ago, were saying the Quds Force is in fact in Iraq fighting. As I mentioned, there is a way to move forward, and that is to work with the moderates, both the Shia and the Sunni moderates, and there's plenty of them out there. The Iraqi people want the same thing everybody wants, and it's basic Maslow. You want the physical needs taken care of, food, shelter, clothing. You want security. You want involvement in your simply they say it's love, but it's more than that. It's involvement in your community, and then you want self-esteem and self-actualization. You really want to be good at what you're doing. That's all the Iraqi people want. Let me talk a minute for Camp Liberty. As pointed out by previous speakers, we made agreements. One of the things on agreements, when you make them in the middle of combat, American warriors making an agreement, whether it's in writing or it's verbal, it is locked in concrete and it becomes part of your own character. And for the officers assigned to Ashraf to see those agreements violated is really irritating. That's why you see guys like Dave Phillips, myself, Tom Cantwell, Leo McCloskey, and others adamantly speaking up. And by the way, none of us accepts any kind of compensation for the time that we spend, the things that we write, the presentations that we give, or anything. Reason being is we know what is right, and we're fighting for humanity, and we're fighting for the word that we gave to people ourselves. With this, I'll step down. I would thank Mitchell thank him for all his support and everything.